Welcome back to SwitchCorner. Today we're going to be taking a look at Ys Origin on the Nintendo Switch. First off, I want to say thank you to the devs of this one. They did provide a review code so I could get this video out there for you. But my big question with this one, does it stand up nearly 14 years after its initial release? Well, that is what I'm here to find out. So hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family and let's get started. So Ys Origin, it tells the story of the legendary Ys after a demonic invasion. During this invasion, to protect the inhabitants, the twin goddesses, they lift Ys into the sky. Thankful for their safety, all seems good amongst the people, but the twin goddesses, they do end up disappearing, and the demons, they begin construction on what's known as the Devil's Tower. This is to climb into the sky and reach the people in their new location. Now, taking on the role here of either Unica, who is melee based, or Yugo with ranged, you'll head to this tower to banish evil while meeting a few more playable characters along the way. The story is decent, it's not particularly deep, but you will dive into, the relationships of the characters, and it'll give you kind of small snippets into the current circumstance. I wouldn't honestly come to this for story, but it is still kind of like, an entertaining ride that fans will no doubt enjoy. The best thing though, I gotta say, each character's story is slightly different, so it's well worth multiple playthroughs. So gameplay in this is a pretty traditional dungeon crawler, basically run from location to location, take down waves of enemies, while then searching of course for that next location or needed item. So for example, let's say a piece of equipment like the early water levels, you need to be able to breathe underwater, or maybe a key to a locked door. While it's not changing the genre, they've done a really good job of kind of like just getting things right, especially the controls, they work really well as you'll be jumping and hacking and slashing your way around this world. At least that was the case for me, because I went with Unica. She's obviously melee. Yugo he's got some cool attacks, but let's say an acquired taste, and I couldn't quite handle the personality they've instilled in him, and I don't think too many will like him unless like arrogant asshole is to your taste. Like any good action RPG though, all these battles, they tie into a leveling up system that not only of course improves your strength but your health bar as well. And while I will say there is some grinding here, you got two things very right. The combat's a ton of fun, meaning you don't really mind that, and then it's also relatively quick and painless moving you through the ranks. It's very rare you'll be stuck on like a certain level for too long. My favourite thing though with Ys Origin is, and always has been, the exploration. The levels, they change just enough and frequently enough that I never felt like I was in like overly familiar like locations for too long. And even better, I gotta say, this game has a handy fast travel system that you unlock by interacting with statues as you progress. It's not forcing you to backtrack to add longevity to the game. These statues then will also be key to your success, as they allow you to apply upgrades to your character from points that you collect. To round out the package, and you can expect the usual like item collection and management. Relatively basic, but expect to be, learning new magic, acquiring new equipment, and then collecting a ton of like item drops, chests, and just hidden treasures within this world. For a game that is 14 years old now, at least since the original release, pre-localization, it has aged incredibly well thanks to a tried and tested isometric hack and slash setup that's still very much in use today. With a great world to explore though and a ton of enemies to face, I gotta say the crown jewel of Ys Origin, it has to be the boss encounters, as they can go from like purely like human forms to demons that will literally fill the majority of your screen. While I will say occasionally they can be a little too ambitious and they don't quite fit the controls perfectly, I always looked forward to these moments and would happily face them all again. The only thing that might put people off, the runtime here with this one. With a single character, you can actually wrap things up in around 6 hours. I will say though, replayability is definitely here, not just because of like multiple character arcs to work through or the multiple difficulties, but you'll also unlock a time attack mode where you face off with like the different bosses, and then arena mode. This is a wave-based system that squarely puts the focus on the action part of the title. So yeah, overall, like I gotta say, I was impressed. At 14 years old, the gameplay is solid as it stands the test of time, and I understand why this is a fan favourite. While the story doesn't offer too much, honestly, the gameplay is where it's at, and they absolutely deliver an action RPG experience that I would say most fans of the genre will be impressed with. So graphically speaking, it's not bad at all. While it shows its age, no question about it, I enjoyed the dungeon design. They do their best to kind of like, mix things up frequently. And while I will say it can sometimes feel like a simple texture switch out, for the most part, that small piece still goes a long way to keeping you from feeling like you're, retreading the same location over and over. Enemy design then and characters, I was generally impressed. I do think the animation's a little dated now, but I think it does enough that you'll largely, start to like the characters and world. My only real issues visually, the menus, especially in handheld, they felt a tiny bit cumbersome and just didn't quite reach what expectations I would have for a 2020 release, where, here you're kind of gradually highlighting everything to see what it is, see what it does, all that good stuff. Another issue as well, cutscenes are relatively low resolution, and I wish they could have just gone back and added, a little extra work to these. They're exciting still, do not get me wrong, but the age definitely shows, pixelation and all. In some ways, it's kind of like the gameplay, all the sharp edges you see. There's a charm to that for someone like me who grew up around the era, but that's not going to be for everyone. So audio then, I gotta say I love the audio work here. Sound effects are solid with a decent selection of like attacks, movement sounds, but it's the environmental work I really like. It is minimal, but it just shows the level of effort that went in, like the sounds of water. That's the small stuff for me. It makes a big difference. And it's a world that definitely benefits from it to give, a bit of extra backing, a bit of extra like life to the more old school visual work where they couldn't necessarily like show it. Where Ys Origin absolutely delivers though, it has to be the soundtrack. You can't beat a good RPG soundtrack, and this deserves the recognition as it adds the mystical, the adventure, the danger to this trip up the tower. Overall, if you like good old hack and slash dungeon crawling, then this is a game no doubt you will appreciate. Controls are solid, the enemies decent, and the boss is epic. Yes, it is a repetitive gameplay loop, that is for sure, but thanks to the RPG side of things, the leveling up, the item management, the collectathon side of things, never feels like it outstays its welcome. In fact, if anything, I wish each character's arc was just a tiny bit longer. Seeing the scale of the tower and the floors available to you, it's actually quite surprising how quick you can run through this. That said though, maybe that is a positive, as it's a bite-sized experience. It comes in, shows you what it's got, and then it moves that pace quickly, with you rarely being, an hour around from that next epic boss encounter, and sometimes that is all you need. Bit of tidying then on the cinematics and some visual adjustments would have been a nice touch, but at a budget price point, this is a very good game that fans of Ys or action RPGs should definitely check out. I just think if they had gone back and tidied it up just a little bit more, they could have attracted a whole new audience. I got through this one with Unica though. I have every intention of suffering through Hugo's personality next, and that says a lot that I'm going to go back to it after I've reviewed it. Today I'm going to be giving Ys Origin a great 8 out of 10, and it may just be worth the addition to your library if you have the space for, a more bite-sized experience, or at least bite-sized for, the RPG genre. Will you be picking this one up yourself though? Have you already? Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. With that, a shout out to the patrons of the channel who are just going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. Helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. Truly do appreciate it. If you want to check it out for yourself, it is linked in the video description down below. Then finally, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.